and welcome to my Weight Watchers channel. Now, I have a history with Weight Watchers. This is not the first time that I've joined Weight Watchers, and this isn't even my first Weight Watchers channel. I'll go into that in my next video where I talk about the new plan changes that are coming in a couple of weeks. I'll go into my history with Weight Watchers then. But let me just say that if you are new to Weight Watchers, or you're considering joining Weight Watchers and you found this video because you were searching for Weight Watchers, I don't want you to hear what I said about my history and then look at me because I'm big and think that, oh my God, Weight Watchers doesn't work, because it's not true. You may have heard negative things like, probably from people on different eating plans than Weight Watchers, saying things like, oh, Weight Watchers, that doesn't work. People, they're always starving, and that's where people go to pay money to lose and gain the same 50 pounds over and over again. Or you might have heard people say that, join Weight Watchers for the 10 billionth time. And look, it's true that a lot of people that set out to lose weight will not succeed. But it's not because the plan that they are doing doesn't work. It's because they stopped doing it. And they stop doing it the majority of the time. Because look, I can't speak for everybody. I can technically only speak for myself, but realistically, the main reason why most people gain weight back on Weight Watchers, keto, Jenny Craig, calorie counting, portion control, is because they stop doing it. They stop tracking their food, and they just say screw it and just start eating whatever they want and not worrying about it anymore, and then blame whatever plan they were on saying it didn't work. That's what happens to me. But let me tell you, I have been on quite a few of the plans, and every single one of them I lost weight on. And again, I'll go into that in the next video. But my problem is that I have every single time I've gotten to a point where either I'm like super cocky and like, oh, I don't need this anymore, I can do it by myself. Yeah, I need it. So it's not a matter of Weight Watchers not working. It's a matter of people stopping the program, and that's for various reasons. Some people, a lot of us that are overweight have emotional issues dealing with food, and the mental hurdles are the hardest ones to get through when losing weight. You literally have to push aside any all or nothing feelings you have about food. If you happen to overeat one day and go over your points, you can't be like, oh, well, I totally screwed up today, might as well just keep eating whatever I want and then I'll get back on track tomorrow. You can't do that. You have to say to yourself, I'm stopping now. It's okay that I went over. Oh well, stopping now, not eating anything else, and just keep on tracking the next day. Because if you don't, saying you're gonna eat whatever you want now and then start over tomorrow oftentimes doesn't come. And if you go through a couple months of tomorrow never coming, you're gonna find that you gained all your weight back. People, for whatever reason, people stop doing it, and that's when you gain weight back. But if you consistently follow the plan, you will lose weight. You're going to go through times where you gain weight. You're going to go through times where you don't lose anything. You're going to go through times where there's months where you go up and down the same 2 or 3 pounds, and you have to kind of reevaluate what you're eating, and do you need to start working out harder, things like that. It is what it is. Weight loss is hard, and that's why people stop. Not being able to eat whatever you want, whenever you want, as much as you want, is really hard. And that's another thing. I have never made it to maintenance, but they always say maintaining the weight is even harder than losing it. Because again, not being able to eat whatever you want is really hard. So that's it. Weight Watchers works. Anything with a deficit can work. So don't listen to negative things and just assume it doesn't work because, they have a history of people, losing weight and gaining it back. That is just overweight people. That's not Weight Watchers. That is just emotional eating people trying to figure out their problems. And that's the thing. Weight Watchers is a tool. It is a weight loss tool. And they're trying to get more like healthy mindset things in there to help people out. But the thing is that like if you have deep rooted food issues like I do, we should probably be in therapy or journaling or figuring out some way to deal with those issues, because those issues are probably what's keeping us overweight. It's not that Weight Watchers doesn't work. It's not that keto doesn't work. It's not that calorie counting doesn't work. And listen, I want to say this up front too. I am not one of those people that bashes other ways of eating and losing weight. I think keto is really cool. I think there's a lot of cool science behind it. I think that Jenny Craig is fine. I think that calorie counting is fine. I think Weight Watchers is awesome. I do not like to tell people that the way that they are doing something is wrong. One of my pet peeves is when people say, oh, that program doesn't work. It's too restrictive. You're never going to be able to stick to it. You're just going to gain your weight back. And listen, a lot of people on Weight Watchers say that about keto, and then a lot of people on keto say the same thing about Weight Watchers. Trust me, I have been on both. I have been in many groups for both, and everybody says the same thing. Oh, that's a fad. That's not healthy. It's really funny because like the Weight Watchers people will say keto's a fad. It's not healthy. It's dangerous. You're going to gain all the weight back. It's stupid. You're being stupid. You're in a cult. Here's the thing. I understand why people say it's unhealthy, because all they have to go on is the images they see on social media of like bacon wrapped butter and blocks of cream cheese with everything bagel seasoning and things like that. But most people on keto don't eat like that all the time. Like real true keto, like people are eating like let's think about it. Is a bunless burger with mushrooms and extra green vegetables on the side less healthy than a burger? And these are both burgers that are homemade on the grill with lean ground beef, whatever. Is it less healthy than a patty that's on a whole grain bun with sweet potato fries? Like, just because it doesn't have the bun and the sweet potato fries? Like, that doesn't make any sense. But here's the thing. Oh, well, and when people say things like that and make those comparisons, just because you cannot stick to keto or low carb does not mean that somebody else can't. And it does not make it a fad just because you can't stick to it. And keto has been around for like a really long time. It's not a fad. And then the people in keto that trash Weight Watchers and say things like I said earlier in the video, oh, people are always starving, they're always in a bad mood, they're losing and gaining the same 5 pounds over and over again, they're paying money to lose and gain the same 50 pounds, blah blah blah. It's just trash talk, because they couldn't stick to Weight Watchers because they felt hungry, and just keto works better for them. Some people keto works better for, some people Weight Watchers works better for. Some people find it easier to do Nutrisystem and Jenny Craig. who cares? Can we just not trash each other's way of losing weight? And look, I know that some Weight Watchers people and calorie counting people and fitness guru people will say things like, keto's not healthy because my doctor said not to do it. Well, look, there's just as many doctors and dietitians out there that say it's fine to do as long as, they are monitoring you. Like, just stay in your own lane, man. Stay in your own lane. Do your own thing. Whatever works for you. Okay, so in this go-round of Weight Watchers, I joined in January, and I was the highest I have ever been in my life. I was 301 pounds, and I am digital only, like online on the app. And so I started. And currently I had a doctor's appointment a week or two ago. Was it a week or two ago, and I was at 262 pounds. So I've lost a decent amount of weight. Now look, I at my size would have hoped to have lost twice as much by now, but here's the thing. In January, right as I started having a bunch of health issues, and I had not been to a doctor for 3 years. I hadn't been to a doctor since 2017. And I started having issues that I thought were COVID. It wasn't COVID. I ended up in the emergency room twice because I couldn't breathe. I went to a private emergency room first, and where you have to pay money up front, but it's a more private experience, only because I was too embarrassed to go to a real emergency room because I was just ashamed because I haven't been to the doctor in so long, and I thought they might be nicer at the private one. They thought it was my heart because my blood pressure was insane. I'm going to insert the number here because I don't remember it exactly, but it was 240 something over something. It was bad. They thought I was in the beginning of heart failure. So they put me on blood pressure medication, gave me a referral to a cardiologist, and said, get yourself a primary care doctor. Later on, a couple days later, I ended up in the real emergency room because I still couldn't breathe. Now, I ended up being admitted overnight, mostly because my kidneys were mad because they had given me, the other emergency room had given me some Lasix pills to drop some water weight. And between that and the blood pressure medication, I was severely dehydrated and cramping. And I felt like I couldn't breathe, but my oxygen levels were fine. They did 1 million tests, including an echocardiogram, which is an ultrasound of your heart. Would have been really cool if I had been comfortable and actually able to breathe. I had to wear the mask the whole time. Really sucked. But after 1 billion tests, I left the hospital with them telling me, your heart's fine. You can still see the cardiologist if you want to, but we don't think you need to. They said my A1C was fine at the time. And they said my breathing issues were, one, a thyroid nodule that I was aware of, and I had biopsied in 2003 when I was pregnant with my son, and it was such a terrible experience that when it came back inconclusive, I just never had it looked at again because I did not want to go through that traumatic experience again. He was a very old man, very crotchety old man, very mean, terrible bedside manner, very rural area. His office was very small. He didn't have updated equipment. It was bad. That had grown huge. I had another one next to it, and there was one on this side, and they were crushing my trachea. So they said, that's why we think you can't breathe. Or at least you feel like you can't breathe, but your oxygen level is fine. So we don't think it's panic attacks. We think that's what's going on. So for a while, there was some miscommunication with scheduling my thyroid ultrasound and a biopsy. So this was around January, I started having issues. February, I was in the hospital. March, I had my first primary care doctor appointment, and I did not have my ultrasound appointment until mid-May because there was such scheduling conflicts and confusion and lack of communication. I had it, then they suggested a biopsy, scheduled the biopsy. I had a new A1C. A couple days before my biopsy, I found out that I was diabetic, and they thought that the hospital original A1C was wrong. So my doctor immediately put me on, the slow release or something, whatever, metformin that you take once a day. And then I had my biopsy, and it still wasn't pleasant, but it was a billion times better experience than the previous one. But I did find out within 10 minutes I had papillary thyroid cancer. And that kind of made a big snowball effect where that was what I concentrated on. I had so many appointments for that my diabetes stuff fell to the wayside, and then my doctor left the practice, and then my husband found out that he got a new job in a different state, and that he would have to leave shortly after all of my treatments and stuff, and then we'd be moving, and it just was like a snowball effect of stress. And I had my whole thyroid taken out, a neck dissection here because I had to have lymph nodes taken out. I had radioactive iodine therapy, which is where you swallow a radioactive pill and you have to isolate yourself from people and animals for a couple of days. And then I had a a full body scan to make sure everything went where it was supposed to go, to kill any possible stuff left over in leftover tissue. And then we ended up a couple weeks later moving to a different state. So basically what I'm trying to say is, through all of that, I tracked half the time. So, and I don't have a thyroid anymore, and I'm on levothyroxine, 200 of that, and I have still been able to lose weight. So I am just thankful that I'm still losing weight, and I was only tracking half the time. So that's where I'm at right now. What sucks about being here in this house that we're renting is that it's really old. Literally all the floors are uneven. So I don't really trust my scale, but like I said, I was 262 at the doctor's office a week or so ago, and then I have my first appointment with a diabetic endocrinologist on November 2nd, so I'm going to see what I weigh there and then record that. So that's frustrating for me right now, but anyway, so I have to, even though I've been losing weight, I gotta kind of focus now on the diabetic part. I don't want to be on insulin. But I also don't want to have to do super low carb keto either. I've tried it a billion times. I just can't stick to it. Some people can, some people can't. But I also don't want to lose a foot, or be on insulin. So, I'm hoping I can get some advice from the endocrinologist, and that's one of the reasons why I am excited for the changes in the Weight Watchers plan, because they're coming out with supposedly a more diabetic friendly plan. Now, they've always said it was diabetic friendly, but I'm hoping that this means there's a little bit more guidance towards the carb part of the whole thing. I don't know. I know they can't give medical advice, so whatever. I also found out that the coughing and gagging and phlegm that I was experiencing, that wasn't even related to my thyroid. It was just a coincidence. I'm pretty positive that it was silent reflux and had to do with acid reflux. And I'm now on medication for that, and it seems to be helping. So, God, don't be like me and skip the doctor for so long. But anyway, I'm going to catch you in the next video because this one's getting way too long, and I hope I haven't bored you. Bye.